I am perplexed. Everything seems to be growing fine now. This is a last on this series here about growing lettuce indoors because things are doing well. Let me show you here. First, let me get this off of here so you can see I'm sprouting some of the cold weather things. These are like broccoli and cabbage and stuff like that. Anyway, let me show you over here. Okay, you can see the ones I was worried about are these right here. Now, here's something that's, you can see some, let me get that in the light really good. You can see they're turning brown and blackish. And that's the ones that are in the water here that I sterilized. And so I don't know what's causing that, but that one's getting sick. It's not doing well. This one here obviously is doing a lot better. And if you pull this one out carefully, you can see that, let's get that one in the light a little better. You can see that they're a lot lighter, and you can see some new roots coming out of there. So this one's a lot healthier. Let me just put it back in right there. So so remember originally this water was what I was worried about, and it is doing the best. And so I don't know what to think. Anyway, the goldfish and all that, this is working fine. Solution of Miracle Grow and just a teeny pinch of magnesium, Epsom salts in here. The parts per million read about 700 or something like that. Now I put some black-seeded Simpson lettuce in here, and in a peat pot kind of thing. We'll see how this goes. I just took a bunch of these out of here, thinned this out, and transplanted them into these right here. This one here was planted originally by seeds. Well, okay, you can see that just since yesterday, this one is not doing as well at all. As a matter of fact, if you can just contrast the two, this one and this one, you can see that this one is very much, it's not growing as well as the other one at all. And it's really noticeable today. Now this middle piece looks like it's doing well, but let me show you here. Let's bring the camera a little closer. Okay, now that should be a pretty good shot. Let me move that out. That should be a pretty good shot to compare the difference. And you know, up until yesterday, they were kind of the same, but you can see this one is really suffering now, and I'm not sure why. But let's check something here. Let's do a pH check on this and see if maybe that's a problem. So let's, first of all, let me rinse this out. This little vial, okay. Gonna get the vial clean. And then let's take the lid off of this. And as you can see, looking at those roots, see they're yeah, look at that, they're just like, you know, they just came right off. So let's put that over there. So this plant is dying, and you can obviously see it from the top here. Now let's see here. Let's put this aside for a second. Let's see what the pH is reading. Okay, we got that up to the line, if you can see it. That's how you do it. And then you put 3 drops in here. 1, 2, 3. Holy smokes, there's the problem, or that's a problem. You see, when it's kind of in the 7 range, this looks a little greenish. You can see the chart here. Let me show you if you can see this. You see, there's the color. It's supposed to be like about here maybe. But look at that, it's way over there. So the pH in here is very, very high. This is 7.6 on the end, so it's higher than that, I think. So, you know what that says? It points to the fact that the pH in here got too high. Now that's probably because of the water that I have. I think we may have found the problem. If you remember, When I first started this whole thing, I was worried about why that water in the fish tank and the water that was flowing through the system there, why everything was getting nasty and not growing very well. And one of the things I noticed, remember I thought it was maybe chlorides and all kinds of different things, but we noticed that the pH was very, very high. It was off the scale high. And so I started messing with the pH. I started putting muriatic acid in it, and it went down and down and down. And then I've been messing with it, and every day I've had to put a little more acid in it because every day it creeps up a little bit. As you just saw when I tested this, it's a little high again, but not high like it was. Now that we've checked that other one, the one that plant that's dying and that I cleaned out and I was very careful with, that pH is very high too right now. So maybe the whole problem I had, more than anything else, was pH. And the pH has to do with the calcium that I've got. And the calcium basically buffers things up and it makes the pH go high. So I think that was the mystery, because the stuff in the plant water, in the goldfish water, seems to be doing okay now, and that's probably because I've been well, the only thing I've changed is got the acidicness. I gotten it more acidic. It was the pH was rather high. If you remember the first time, it was way, way, way up there. I think it was over 8, maybe higher than that, maybe. And now it's definitely around 7. It's maybe a little higher than 7 now, but I've tried to keep it below 7, and it's a daily struggle. And I think it's because every time you put makeup water in there, there's calcium in the makeup water because I have well water, and I'm high levels of calcium in it. And when you do that, it does its reaction, and in a little while, you got pH going up. So I think that's what the problem is. So what I'm going to do is start planting more stuff in there, and I'm going to keep an eye on the pH and keep adjusting the pH to try to keep it just below 7. And I found that these sort of meters, you know, that you get, I guess they're okay if you keep them calibrated, but you have to keep them calibrated. This kind of a thing with the chemical and and looking at the colors, unless you're colorblind or you have a problem with seeing colors, this is much, much more accurate. It doesn't need to be calibrated, and it's simpler. So I'd use these, but this is easy to do, and this is quite effective. So I'm going to say the problem I had was pH was too high, and I was just too dumb to see that, and it was caused by the calcium in the water that I use, and it just needs to be buffered with, I mean not buffered, it needs to be unbuffered with acids, and the acid I use is muriatic acid. And even when you do that, I'm still sure that you have to periodically get some water out of there. In other words, you can't just keep putting water in there and letting it evaporate. You've got to get some of the water out to get some of the concentration of chemicals out of there. Kind of like the Dead Sea or the Great Salt Lake. You know, they just have water running into them and they have no exit, so they just get more and more and more salty. Well, that's what I think can happen to your aquaponic systems if you don't have a way for water to get out of the system. Anyway, there it is. I think we've solved the mystery, and we're going to start planning.